Ooh, that light is too bright. Let's go down. Let's go down. Oof, jeez. I'm just trying to get my settings here on this light stuff because it's just low. Bright. Jeez. I'm not ready to turn this thing on low. Lower, lower. Still light. Still like a white person. It's funny. Oh well, we're gonna leave it like this today. It is definitely bright. Bright, 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 bright. So we're gonna wait a little bit. Just a little bit here. Trying to fix things. This lighting is just crazy sometimes. Why is lighting such a pain in the ass? That's what I want to know. Because it never looks right on me. They still look. Yep. It is bright. I wonder if I turn it the other way if I'm going to do this. So it's funny, you guys know me for adjusting my lights in front of you. And it's a pain in the ass, but I don't care. Every time I get into it, it still does this. It's just everybody does it behind the scenes. I do it right in front of you. It's funny. So, I know, like a pale white ghost. Just crazy. The lighting is just, it's nuts. I wonder if I turn this completely off. See? It still would be nuts. See? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It ain't going to change. It's going to stay this way. So we'll just keep to this situation. So I thought we would talk about, since it's Halloween, I got to do one thing is notify people. I haven't done that. So you guys aren't in a hurry or anything, are you? So I figure I'll just do that. So I'm just going to do this real quick. It's just a thing to do, I guess. So I had to go get beef today. And I mean beef. This is funny. Real beef. Loaded it up. Get a bunch of it to last a long time. So, so it was a while. I had to go to a farm, pick it up. I was talking, you know, it was kind of funny because he, of course, has physical issues and he can't do much with his back and all that stuff. And I look at those people that are suffering every day. They can't, old farmer, they can't do much at all. And it's going to be amazing when they have the med beds. You guys are looking, that's on my file cabinets with files and everything else. It's there. What do you do? So the thing is those people are going to be the hardest to understand about putting them there in these beds that could help them. And I think that's going to take a big trust issue because they're used to old ways of doing things. They're not used to this new stuff or just thinking that you can do something like that and the suffering will be gone. That's going to take some adjustment to get used to completely across the board. So yeah, it's a ordeal. So I thought because I have so many people ask about this subject that I don't bring it up much on the earthbound spirits because they can get a little annoying to me, and then sometimes they're nice. It just varies in the situation that they're looking at. And so when these conditions happen, they're completely never, ever the same, ever. And they're pretty honest when they're annoyed with a situation or they're happy with a situation. So it either goes one way or the other. But what I find in these situations when I have to deal with going to property, or I have to go to sorry, I have to go to a house. I'm always thinking in my head, did they provoke this? Are they antagonizing the situation? Sorry, I'm just adjusting this a little more. Did they antagonize the situation? Or, you say the word, are they feeding it? So, and that's part of the problem because I'm kind of, when I get into these situations, I'm always in the back of my head being open minded because I'm going to listen to the spirit first. And then I'm going to listen to what they have to say. Because the spirit, if they know you and what you do, they'll be honest about their intentions and what's happening. So, and I think sometimes they're shocked that the spirits tell on the owners of what they've been doing and how they've been provoking them. So, so there is a haunted place in, I think it's South Dakota. I haven't been there forever. I don't know. It could be North or South Dakota. It's the Palmer House. Now, this is one I got so upset and annoyed because the night before I went there, it's known for being haunted. The night before I went there, I had a spirit come and talk to me, and I say, I'm there and I need you to look in this area for me, and it's kind of ratting everybody out that's provoked the situation. And so I got there. I kind of listened. I went around. I mean, there was a lot of clutter. But the problem is to these places that are haunted, people go into a hotel room, they bring Ouija boards, they bring all kinds of stuff to conjure and upset the spirits all the time. There are so many shows that have shown the Palmer House and done all this stuff, and I can tell you that those spirits are not happy with the people that come in there and provoke the situation, and the people that are supposed to be responsible for the property are not even listening to the spirits. So, and that was the disheartening energy I got with the situation because all they wanted was some rest. There was a lot of stuff that's happened there. And I had to look up the pictures because I went in there and I took a lot of pictures and they were all over around me and all that stuff. And as I was looking for these specific things, and I got down in the basement area, and I'm like, I don't like the human to tell me anything. I just want the spirit to lead me in the direction. And I looked around. There was a lot of areas down there, and it's kind of weird because I think there's like an opening to a well, which was always not always good. So the thing is he's like, no, go down this area and I'll be right underneath the stairs. And I went down there and he showed me, this is where I was buried, that my bones are still here. And he showed me this fight he got in. But this is the weird thing. I don't think I told anybody, but he had one leg. He had either decapitated or something. When he was alive, it was completely severed. So it was a rough looking guy and all that stuff. But um, so then I listened to the spirit. The owner was looking to the left, and I just said, he's telling me there's bones in this area. And um, I never paid attention to when I go to a place. I don't like to do any research because it's not going to help me. So I looked to her and I said, basically, you've got to take these bones to the authorities. She's mysteriously said, well, I had them and I lost them, of course. Of course, kind of convenient. But he was very upset about that. He was very upset that, his whereabouts were not known in the way of his name, all that stuff. And so a lot of spirits in this house are upset. And they just keep recycling and annoying. I mean, they're not circus freaks and teaching classes there and doing all the stuff that they do there. Every time I've come across this situation when an owner disvalues spirits there, they meet that with a situation of, I tell them, when you pass on and you're not listening to these guys, they are going to do the same thing to you as what you're doing to them. You're not letting them have a restful peace, and you're creating a situation where they can't, if they even wanted to. And then something's conjured up. So, yeah, it's very entertaining, but it is disheartening to the souls that are there. So you will see a ton of these ghost hunters and all the stuff go there. But let me tell you, they are not happy. They're not happy at all. And which was funny that day, this guy and this other spirit. And I got done eating and looking at things, so I was getting pretty disgusted by then. And I even gave them a prayer book to use, whatever they can do. Oh, yeah, we do it. You don't do nothing. They say you don't do nothing. And two of them said, I just want to leave. So my friends, I'm like, okay, let's go. Okay. But two of them are going to follow us. What? Yep. They're going to follow us. Because they've had it. So it was funny. People think in places like that, you just kind of, right then you cross them over. And sometimes they don't want to go yet. They kind of sit around and they talk to you. And I don't put pressure on them. So I do this a lot. So then there's boundaries at my house and how I deal with things. And those ethics and rules are very well followed. And I'm working one day, 3-4 days later, they're like, well, I think we're ready. I'm like, oh, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. And they crossed over. And I just did it. And so it's really sickening to feel that pain and suffering that they have. And it's just like a Groundhog Day over and over again. And they're not getting rest. And here we go again, and over and over. It's funny, as I think this place caught on fire one time. And then they rebuilt it. So it has a long history. But you can look at the Palmer House. But it's definitely a situation that the spirits want to be at rest. They do not want to be antagonized and teased. And because the door's shut doesn't mean the owner knows what's really going on. And so people think it's an entertainment situation, and it's disheartening to see that. So that's a story that that has put an imprint in me, and how they communicate and how they have a peaceful way of presenting their information the way they need to. So what I get with spirits, their different personalities step up. I mean, they rat out the owners if they're doing something. And this one, they were having major activity the point that a paranormal investigator had to call me in to see what was going on because they couldn't get anywhere with the situation. To where the point they were living in the bottom and not going in the top. And I was like, oof, that's not good. So there's a lot of mounds on the property and, right by water and all this stuff. And it wasn't in the best shape to live in. But they were living in it. And I went with one of the investigators, and this gal had a bunch of dogs on the property, and he got close to the door, and one of her dogs jumped him. And I'm looking at that sign going, pretty calm dog. Yeah, they're not happy you're here, and not talking about me. So, it was not just a light skin thing. It went in deep, it wasn't a bite. It was a scrape. So I was like, this is going to be very interesting. So I walked the property line. I did everything. And then I started seeing this lady. But this lady was murdered. And no one knows about her. No one ever looked for her. And it was a pretty sad situation because this person that lived there, this fellow guy before, was not always right upstairs. There were some things off. So it was very strange of the situation. And I saw these natives sitting back, like not even interacting with the property or anything, because they are very good at observing in the spiritual realm and not interacting with things. They'll tell you stuff, but they keep their distance. They don't want to be around that. And I just felt like the house needed to be completely condemned, and that they needed to do something and find her. The problem is, this happened so long ago that that kind of area, they're not interested in digging it up and trying to find someone. They don't know who it is, because there's so many people that go missing that their ancestors or their relatives don't even call them in when they're missing. And this definitely was a person, a truck stop situation. So that's, they eventually moved out of the property, and I think they finally condemned it, but it's definitely haunted land. And when native spirits are staying away from it and don't want nothing to do with it, it tells you a lot. So there's a lot of incidents that I have that situation. You present the information. Sometimes the owner still doesn't do anything about it. And then there's the situations where a new person has bought the property. And I always feel like I can tell you the story on the house that I live in. Gosh. So when I moved here, I first checked out this house. Let's go with that one first. And I was okay about checking it out. But then, it's definitely done in a very beautiful way. A lot of deep redwood colors and oak together. It looks really beautiful. And the doors have glass, oak trees. And I got upstairs by the top of the stairs. I'm having this construction-looking dude, looks like the guy off Camel, smokes a cigarette, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, hey, there's all this construction that needs to be done. You need to get this done, this done, this done. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm just coming to look at it. I didn't say I was moving in. I go into the main bedroom, and I'm talking. I don't know if you guys know about flies and how the spiritual signal with those. And then I'm talking a ton of flies in one area of the room. And my husband downstairs is like, really, like, I don't like this place. And I'm like, listen. You don't understand. This guy is annoying. I don't want to do this because he's going to be bugging me all the time what needs to be done here. And so At that point, he's like, I don't care. I don't care what you got to do. Talk to him, sing a song to him. I don't care what you got to do. We're moving in. So I was like, I lived in a different state at that time. So I'm like, well, I don't have to deal with it for a while. But there's a tale with this. They did reconstruction on this house. And the guy that built the house and started the reconstruction, that's just an older guy. This is a newer guy that owned it, the ones that we bought it from. He passed away. His heart and soul was put into the house, and he got electrocuted from a farming accident. And so I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that before either? So there was that situation, and then it used to be a beefalo ranch too. So there's just a lot of spirits that linger here on different situations and different farms and stuff like that. But so it was just very weird when it came into the situation, and they were giving me construction tips on what they need to do and how it needs to be done. And it's funny because you hear people when they start to do construction, spirits start to move stuff, they slide stuff out, they break windows, they don't like what you're doing. And I've never had that problem here. When we start to fix things with it, and then maybe it's because they know that they'll listen. I mean, I think the first or second night that my daughter stayed here in the house, she was like, this little girl, and I'm uncomfortable. And out here, a lot of the homes and stuff like that, the little schoolhouses and stuff like that, and down here they even have an old school board. So I know that they had these little school on the properties and stuff that were pretty big like this. So and so when you talk to them, communicate with them, adjust the situation instead of letting it linger. And that's the thing. You just let it sit and let them tell their story. Things seems to get completed, but when you start to just make them mad and annoy them and do stuff that they're not happy with, then they start to react to things. It's usually an owner situation, and sometimes it is just a land situation. But then I get situations where, they did leave something very valuable and they come back for it and they don't want anybody to find it, and they're not leaving until it's discovered, So that happens a lot with me. And then ones that don't want me there because they're just annoyed because they don't want anything revealed or anything from the past that was revealed. And I had this one guy, he was screaming at me in the ear and just cussing me out. And I'm just like, oh, this isn't going to be good. By the time we got to his shop and his thing, and I picked up that he raped girls on a regular basis. And he was just, I could smell him just rotting, breathing, and just all this stuff. And they've never moved into the house because they feel like they can never deal with it on an ongoing basis. They wait till the female's alone and then he attacks. So there's some of them do not cross over. They're so obsessed with the property and the land that they're not going anywhere. So the thing is I'm going to tell you how they see us, and you'll be surprised when they tell me. I did a paranormal event one time, and I wasn't happy going there because it was basically, they listened to their tapes and all that stuff, and they tell me all the time, we mess with them. We mess with them all the time. They rely on the technology and boxes and all that stuff, and because they think it's funny that if a ghost says something in a box or something like that, we believe it, or a radar that goes by, that we believe it right away what they're saying. They're messing with us. Because for some reason, humans think spirits are stupid, and they're not. They're very intelligent. They see things from both ends of things. They know before you get there what you're doing, what your intention of being there is, what you're after, And like I said, I told you before that they go, if we actually came out of the walls and we did a dance with them, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to run. And I'd be standing there going, okay, what's next? you know, because that's how they're true. They're honest, and they're like sometimes we throw little pebbles at them and they freak. They make fun of them. Seriously, funny. Um, and so this paranormal event in this big stage, and I'm seeing all these spirits above, and they're just telling me all this stuff, and they're wanting me to say something, and my friend's like, just don't say anything. And I'm like, oh, that's not going to go over well. I have to say something. So the following day, we went out to this area where there's this graveyard of these children, and down the road there was this other building that had some incidents happening. I'm going down the road, and I'm like, I'm more drawn to the children than I am the house. So upper spirits that work with me go, hey, just bring that healing book. Nothing's going to happen. Not a thing, not nothing. So it was funny. I was like, okay, I'll bring the healing book, see what happens. And this is supposed to be an active place. And I'm telling you, they had the high-tech equipment and, all this big stuff. And they're talking about 20, 30 people in the cold weather. And they're all standing around and nothing. Like, it was so quiet, so dark. It was so funny. I'm like, this is hilarious. Nothing. And then what happens is it's not entertaining enough, right? So then everybody's got to say, oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? And then it starts to go down the road, and they're like, there's nothing. They're not coming out tonight, Jen. They don't like that book you have in your possession. And I did not go back the second night because I thought it was funny what they were saying. And then, of course, the second night, they all feel that they got attacked and everything. But these high-tech cameras, if they don't want to show you, they're not going to show you. It doesn't matter what you do. So they're pretty funny on when they decide they want to show themselves and when they don't. And so they all have their own personality, but they do watch and see what you do and your intentions of when you're on a property. And I can tell you that spirits are very protective over children, especially if they see them being harmed or anything. They will react to that, and I've seen it. And I've picked up on it, and they've told me that that person is harming that child. So I've been in situations that they've gave information about the parent, and they don't like that. So there's a two-way road on that information of going left and right. And so one of my situations was a very surreal situation. I was in a house in Montana, and these kids decided a Ouija board would be a great thing, which I greatly don't appreciate. And a younger child was at the house. I saw an old man outside, and he's not happy at all, what they're doing in there. So I went in there, saw what they were doing, and I'm like, this is the spirits told me, you mess with those, you taunt something, you antagonize something, you provoke something like that. They don't forget, ever. They don't forget, and they've told me that. So the thing is one of the kids was atheist, and one of them was Christian, and his dad was atheist too. And I did tell his father, I go, listen, from what your son did, provoke the situation bad enough for another spirit to stand up and say, he needs to stop it right now. It's not going to be good. So, and I told my friend, I said, it's a matter of time. 2 days at best, something is going to happen with that. So 2 days later, we get a call, and she calls me and says, Jenny, I need you to come with me to this area right now. Rode down the road. The spirit was already ratting him out. He goes, they got an accident. So got in the accident on a country road, and as I'm looking at this thing, so there's a deer and the windshield. It literally looked like someone tossed a deer directly in the windshield. This is the weird thing about it. The deer of the heart was like 50 feet down the road. And they were shaken up, and I was like, no, I told you. Fire, blood, and Death only comes between this situation. You don't mess with them. So they're shaken up. And then I turn around and Spirit says, ask him where the board's at. And it was in the back seat of the car. Ever since that kid that provoked that spirit has had mental issues, depression all the time. Because you just don't know what you're asking for. When you provoke something and open a door like that, they don't forget. They'll hang on to that. And so that's why I don't care if they're a spiritual medium or whatever. If you're using those for conjuring or talking to them, you don't have a real gift because you don't need those to talk to spirits. And they definitely don't want that density of anything that comes by. It just comes in and intimidates and acts like it's something else, like we do with mediumship. So they don't like it. Even the spirits that are there don't like using the boards because it can bring in other things. So there's some real situations that occur in these situations. It's not good how they use them. I think it's a joke. It's not a joke. It's not a joke at all. So I mean, there's always situations that I'm thrown in and not trying to be involved in, but and you go through these spiritual situations but I weigh on every situation I'm put in that I did everything right, that I communicate right, and sometimes I have to go back and finish it. And I had a situation probably 2 years ago. Spirits know you on that side when you do this work, and they know you're here. And it was really funny. A friend called me, and I think it was something. He goes, "Jan, I can't find my keys anywhere," and he was at the house helping his friend. I was like, "Okay," because they want to room with you. And I was like, "That's fine." Because, by the way, it's a very, very haunted place. I'm like, "Okay." And so he's like, "Can you come out here? Help me find my keys." Because I was like, "These are the places you could find it." So I'm halfway there, and he calls me. He goes, "I found my keys." He goes, "Can you still come?" I'm like, "Yeah." Starting to sense that the spirits played with the keys to get me there. So I got there, and there's a little girl. It was very cute, little girl too. Passed on, and she wanted to cross over. And so what she did was she knew a friend of mine, and then found a way to get his attention and let things go. So they find a way to get you there. And there's been a lot of situations I've been like that, where they just find a way to. Sorry, this is my. She's always got to have center of attention, don't you? I know you're so special. So yeah, it's a very unusual situation. So like Halloween this month, everybody thinks it's cool to mess with things and do things, and then after they've had a surreal situation, they regret doing it or getting involved with it. So I kind of just wanted to come on and talk about, how, and they see us, as long as we respect them, and we're doing the right thing, they're pretty pleasant with things. But once we start to do stuff that they're annoyed by, the first thing they'll start doing is misplacing stuff that you look for. And then they get really annoyed. They'll start moving furniture. And then hiding documentation. They're good at doing that. Rings. They're trying to get your attention. And then usually with most of the paranormal stuff that's severe, it's usually 99% is a situation where they've opened a door they can't shut. And they've used a board and don't know how to use it. And then we're in a situation. And I think people with depression tend to use those more. And it's just a situation where it triggers everything. So I do those from case to case, but I do property evaluations too. I'll go through the whole property. Spirit is talking to me about the property. and then telling me what used to be there, what's there now. And then the owner's just like, this is crazy. They're literally telling you everything. I'm like, yeah, they do that. So I do that, and I do that for wills too, because they don't leave wills. And then I sit down and tell them exactly what item they want, the way they want it. I know. You would not believe flies. Huh. There's a ton of flies here. But it's a situation with the flies is those are spiritual signs. I've seen a lot of things with, come on, get down. Get down. I know you like the long night. Um, flies, bugs, birds. Everybody uses crows. I haven't seen a lot of crows on some of those areas. I usually see those around bodies or close to a body, or they want to show you a certain area. They do. Eagles are really known, and I do remote viewing for finding bodies. And they show me where the area. They're like, look for the eagle. See, she loves the limelight. Benelli. I know. It's just silly. So, those, when you're going on to, this is advice when you go into a property, just really, if you're in your ability, listen to the spirit first, because they're going to tell you a lot what the owner is. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that they do provoke these situations. Or I've had one that just it wasn't even blood, it was ketchup on there, put a bunch of signs on there. I know. And so it's amazing that they'll use it for attention. So you got to be always tune into the spirit first. I think it's the best thing. For myself, I grew up in a haunted house and hearing native voices and talking and communicating, and it's just not, how you say the word, fearful to me. It's just pleasant to me to have them come in and do all that. I will tell you a song that helps them. It's Taylor Swift. I wonder if you guys can guess which one it is. I'll say the South. Think of the South. Let's see if you guys guess it. But it makes them, I play it when I need them to come out. And I need to communicate with them, and they kind of sit around in a setting. And then they present their energy, but it pulls them in, and knowing that it's a song that doesn't make it vulnerable. I can't think of the title of the name, but right now I just know when I go into YouTube, I look at it. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. I'll post it in there. But it works, and they know that you're there to help them and help. So when you're getting ready to help them, actually help them, cross over. Sit back and listen to them first, and listen to what they want, and don't say, well, the light's there, you got to go. And you just, no, it's not shake it off. It's not shake it off. I'll find it real quick. If you guys have patience on here real quick, and I'll tell you. But the tone of it, they love it. It's Close Your Eyes. I think that's what I always put in. And it's Safe and Sound, the Civil War, Hunger Games. And they love it. They come in it. They settle down, and because they just feel like you're going to communicate. It's a song that the spirits like. So, yeah, it's definitely a different situation on how these pertain to communicating with these spirits and helping them pass on. And if they're not ready, come back and talk to them, and then help them, assist them in that way. So I'm just reading some of your stuff. So if you guys have any questions, you can post it right there. But just be very open and delicate on how you handle situations, and that spirits are individually in their sense of, especially suicide. That's a hard one. They tend to stick around for a while and really um, feel guilty. They feel guilty about going in the light, and you kind of have to show them the healing process is there, and you don't have to worry. So that's the thing that I would completely tell you is a safe situation is that suicide is probably the heaviest that I deal with, because they are around and they're afraid because of what we told them, that they'll be judged, and it's not that way on the other side. They always open it with arms. So there's a lot of spirits in the house. I'm kind of used to them. So, if you have any questions about this, or you want to know if you're in a situation where you're dealing with this and you want advice, you can contact me and how you handle the situation. So it's just a subject that I think it's a touchy subject, but it's a real situation. It's surreal of these conditions that are there, and some of it, a lot of it's, people think it's the house. I'm like, it's a lot of the times it's the land. It's not the house, it's the land that they're being annoyed by or stuck there. And I see, it's not only that, I get a lot of animals too. So, and that's the thing that people, I will tell you about suicide, I can tell you, I never see it that way. They're not judged for, they have a sense of freedom on that side because of that happening. And once that's happened, she likes socks. It's her codependent thing. When that happens, I know Benelli, go find a blankie. That, nope, I want to stay. So when that happens, you just, find the best way to relate your information to them and go back and make sure that they've crossed over. Who wants to play? She's silly, aren't you? She's a glamour dog. She just loves attention, and you get coffee in the morning and she's up doing this right in front of you because she's like, it's all about me. Yeah, I'm actually from Colorado, and there's a lot of things over there, native-wise, that I've seen. And yeah, they'll show you things if you're ready to accept it or go through the process. I will tell you another thing, you guys. When I go to antique shops, I usually end up with haunted items that the store doesn't want to know what to do with. But I don't hold them to show them. I don't show people them. What I do with them is I place them somewhere safe, and I don't think it's safe enough that I do destroy them in a very spiritual way, because some items are just too much. I don't want a library or anything like that of it. I just find a way to dispose it in the way it needs to. Holding those of the possession of a money value is not good either. So there are certain things that you have to be well contained, and I just, for some reason, I end up with pictures of people. Yeah, I end up with pictures of people, and I have actually 2 in my office. Unless you ask about it, you wouldn't even know that they're haunted. So it's hard for me to go to auctions or anything like that, because as a medium, you're drawn into energy, and you're going to pick the oldest thing first because you're going to feel that energy. And it is a bad habit that I have. This dresser right here, that's from a old lady that haunt. That's why I bought it, because it's a haunted dresser, and there's actually 2 other shelves that go on top of it. So it's not that I want it, it's just I feel comfortable in it, and then I feel that connection with that item is fine with me. So I'm not there for gloat. It's just think it'll place good in my house, and they're not going to have any issues. My dogs are arguing. They want attention. So I want to just talk about this subject. So if you guys had any paranormal experiences you don't want to talk about, you can email me. You can ask me about it. I don't have a problem. I think, and I had one client in North Carolina. She had some native issues going on in the land, and I think a popular show is that Amy gal. She went back to the same house, and they finally had to move out of there. See, she wants attention. So, so there's a lot of situations. I can't tell you. There's so many. But the main thing is, if you're doing it mediumship wise, do your research on the property, find out who's lived there before. And definitely don't assume the owners are telling you the truth right away, because I've learned a lot that they don't. And they seek, in some way, glorified way, but there's some that are embarrassed about the situation and don't know what to do. And those are the ones that want to keep it secure too. So there's a lot of those too. So you just find the best way to communicate with them and help them through the situation. So if you guys have any more questions. Yeah, well, I mean, you can stay completely away from the situation, and some people feel that, but they're still here. And if you're open as a medium, there's literally no way you can avoid that. I can go shopping and I still can't avoid it, but I find a way to handle it because they're desperate. So, but that's what I have tonight. I just wanted to kind of talk about that, and you can leave your comments here. And Benelli sure enjoyed you guys, because she's just a glory hound. She loves that. So, and I've seen pictures. If you look at a picture and it looks different, and every time you look at it, it's different. Those are definitely situations that people come to me on problems, and where they've taken pictures. And I've done one when I was a safety person. We were at a church, and there were spirits everywhere. And my boss is like, "Get out of the building. I cannot take a normal picture when you're around." He was trying to do a display, and it just didn't work. They were just everywhere. I don't think it's haunted eyes. I haven't had a problem with that. They just haunted people. Dogs react to that, or negative people. So it's not been too bad. And I take one of my dogs with me when I do evaluation on a home and all that stuff. And I'm careful how they want the home blessed, or they have some real energy. And this is the thing. I think with those severe situations, it has to come from the owner that believes in the faith. You can bring a medium there. You can bring a Catholic preacher there, which I wouldn't do now, because we know how that went. And you can bring them there, but it has to do with the sole person that lives there and what's their faith, what's going to protect them. That's why I was always didn't understand why, someone brought a different religion in. It's not going to help the owner. So how do I clear objects? You guys you're gonna laugh what you do. I take sage baths for my body sometimes. I mean, literally, it's on top of the water, and then I put sage in a potpourri thing too. It's really good. I put it in my office too. So, and then for brick around the house, and then sage is one of the main things for clearing, using a bell. So demons don't like the frequency of the bell. So I start in one area and clear it out to move it out. And then I open up the windows to move the energy out. And then you have to set boundaries in a house, because if you don't set boundaries, you don't set rules, they're not going to go buy anything because they think they have the free range of everything. Sea salt works too. But people think I'm crazy. I'm like, you're having a what? Yes, I have a sage bath. It works. And I put in a potpourri thing and it works too. So sage is my friend. Even like always on me. So sage is a good thing to have. So, and then brick is good to have around the house. Those are the two things. And then using the bell, and then frequencies. And music frequencies. So it worked for me on those things. But when you're looking at cases of this, look at it as an independent situation. And when I go in the first time, I'm like wanting to have the spirit sit down and tell me their story in a way of like, not go with a recorder and go, what would you like to say? And the spirits come back and go, you people are stupid. We are not 2 years old. Stop talking to us like we are. So I say, when I'm in front of them, I go, if there's anything that you would like for me to know, I would share your information in the way you want me to share it. You know, so this is what I tell you for the paranormal field. If a spirit wants to talk to you, it's not going to take 12 hours of recordings to get them to talk to you. They know before you get there your intention. So usually I can go in, I only can spend an hour in there, write down the information, communicate with them, figure out what I'm going to do with it, take it home, then come back and present it to them. I don't need to be there for hours or all night because they're waiting for one thing to happen. They don't need to do that. They know your intention. So there's sometimes that people get something because they feel more comfortable around you, and sometimes other people don't get nothing. It doesn't matter if you force it, it's not, provoke them, whatever. It's just a communication on how they see you and how they trust you. So I would definitely say a book that I use all the time is Prayers That Rout Demons. It is an amazing book. Spirit showed me that book, and it works. It doesn't have the same prayers. It has the exact area, how to go into it, and it targets it completely the right way. And they can tell you what, some of the negative spirits really hate that book. And that's what I used for that night. I had to do the one for those children. I just brought a healing book. It wasn't even a demon book, and it worked really well. No, I'll tell you, for mediumship, for a person that's 60, they show me in their 30s always. It's funny how they don't choose to show themselves old. They'll show me what that client remembers at the age that they're at, but then when they start talking to me, they start to show me they're at the age of 30. So it's funny how they see themselves, and they always show me as a young spirit. So you guys have, yeah, they are. They say that's what they remember me as, what I do, what my appearance is. But then they show me after they die, they're like, they're looking young to me, and they talk about pictures. They said, go look for this teller, to go look for that picture. And that's what I want to be remembered. I don't, and they hate you taking pictures when they passed on or remembered just for their death. They get annoyed with that. Yeah. If they below early age, they usually show them at the age that they are because they don't mind showing below 30. So, well, I'm going to let you go, you guys. But if you have more questions, you can contact me for readings or healings or information or remote viewing, you know how to do that. So I just thought I'd come and talk about this subject because it's Halloween. Okay? You guys have a good night. Take care. Stay in the light.